Hello, Boozeketeers. Tuesday night. Here we are. Here you are. Here I am. And here we all are here right now. Here, then, there, now, together. So, what's happening there, you guys? What's going on? Well, I know what I'm doing. I'm getting ready to do a little bit of drinking. Surprise. I know you guys are like, what? Seriously? That's weird. That's crazy. Yeah. So, what are we doing tonight? Well, why don't we get right down into it, and then I'll explain the hows and whys and the whatnots and the so forths. So for tonight, if you read the spoilers, you will see we're making 3 different drinks tonight. It's a triple, I know. The first time I think ever, a triple. Have we done a triple before? I don't think so. We're doing a triple cocktail night.
I've done a triple before.
It's all for 3 here tonight. I know, it's something to get excited about. See? Captain Booze Bananas is excited about it. Yeah. You know what we're making? No. Okay, so I do. We're gonna make 3, and the first one we're gonna make is called the Affinity. And what's it need? What does it need? We need a shaker. We need some ice. Tonight, this evening, we're going to be making drinks featuring Scotch. As my old friend Ron Burgundy says, Scotchy, Scotch. So, and for this one, the Affinity, we're going to need Scotch. We're going to need some dry vermouth, some sweet vermouth, sweet vermouth, and some Angostura bitters. Let's see here. I'm going to go with regular because it doesn't specify orange. I have orange, but it doesn't specify that, so I'm not going to do it. Jesus. Okay, so what do we need for the Affinity? The Affinity, we're going to start with a ½ ounce of Scotch. And tonight I'm using the Shackleton, which we did on an episode a while back. The Shackleton is a very fine blended Scotch whiskey, and it has a. I can't see up close with my glasses on for the mixing. We're going to go with a ½ ounce of that. Maybe a little more. Oops, so who's counting? Shackleton, as those of you who've watched every single show faithfully will remember, basically was the Shackleton expedition up to down to into the cold regions, the Arctic, the Arctic, and basically they had all sorts of different things. They did a bunch of stuff, and they had some failures and some successes and whatnot. But one of the things they found years later was some cases of the whiskey they took with them, and they endeavored to reproduce it, and that's this, the Shackleton. So we're going to use that as our base whiskey. The reason I'm using that is because it's a fine Scotch. It's not like super charactery. There's not a whole lot of smoke. There's not a whole lot of iodine. It's a fairly it's not going to fight with the other ingredients, hopefully. So now 2 of these I have. Haven't I? I don't know. This one I've never tried. We're going to see what it's all about, though. Then we got ½ ounce of dry vermouth. So next is a ½ ounce of sweet vermouth. Hopefully this is going to be good because, I was already drinking some bourbon, but we'll see how all this sits on the top there. Oh, producer Maggie's coming at me with
There's this thing on the floor.
Coming at me with a broom. What do I need? What do I put this in here? Shake that up. Can you see our detritus? Is that the problem?
What?
Can you see our detritus? I said. Hey. The dust is still settling here at the Wicked Wench. We're going to put that in here. Strain into a cocktail glass. It looks nice. Nice amber color. I'm going to see, if you're like me, you should probably make a double. It's not a very big drink, but that's okay because we're having extra drinks tonight. So we'll start That's kind of sad. I don't know. I should have gone. I always go with a double when I make martinis. Probably should have gone with a double with this one. We're gonna garnish that with a luxurious Luxardo cherry. Yeah. Oh, see there. I got so excited I forgot to put in the bitters, but I'm just gonna do it there in the glass and give it a stir with the cherry. I know, isn't that terrible? I know, I'm so unprepared. But that's usual. That's our usual mode. That's our modus operandi here at the Cocktales of Tiki King program. Not being prepared. Interesting. I've certainly had worse things. This is probably not going to be my favorite cocktail. I don't know. The dry vermouth, you can taste it. It's got dry vermouth has a lot of character on its own, and I'm not entirely certain how happy it is with the sweet vermouth in there, with the mixture of the two. But that's okay. It's okay because we're going to be moving on to some other stuff here in a minute. So the reason that I'm doing all this, second sip is better, gotta say. That's how it is with cocktails. I know it's like, oh, that's terrible, that's not so bad. Hey, can I get another one? That's pretty good. So the reason for the season, the reason we're doing all this, why? You're asking, you're Tiki King, why? Why did you make that drink? Why? And you repeat it, like it echoes. Why? So tonight, the reason my theme is Scotch is because I like Scotch. But aside from that, there's an underlying reason, an undercurrent, an undertow of reasoning, which is it's my reasoning that comes in, but you don't. It looks okay, and you go swimming anyway. But then pretty soon, you're like fighting and against the sand. It's all over the place. Is everything okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Here's some Maggie was. Oh, now she's coming down again. You need the Luxardo, is that right?
No. Sorry, everyone.
It's okay. What's happening there?
Nothing.
We got this whole new lighting system.
Just fix the
But
light.
look at lunch. We went for a more atmospheric thing, and I bought lower wattage bulbs for the overhead lighting. It turned out that too lower, too dim. So we didn't get brighter ones, but we have this thing up here that. There we go. So we have I had to put in this auxiliary overhead lighting just to kind of fill it out. But, you don't have to say the last few sips. That was not bad. That happens. Like I said. So, why? I'll tell you why. I know I promised to tell you why already, and then I didn't start talking about lighting and all that. But, so, those of you who follow such things will know that last weekend was Robert Burns' 129th birthday. Do you know? I don't know.
No. I was told there wouldn't be any math.
265th birthday. I don't know what I'd look it up, but my phone is filming me right now. Anyway, Robert Burns, Scotland's own. It was his birthday, and around this time of year, it's always his birthday. It's so weird. I don't know how that it works. It's like an annual thing. And to celebrate, all over the country, all over the world, all over the place, everywhere, in your backyard. Don't look. People have they go to Burns Night suppers, and Burns Night supper usually there's a feast, and there's revelry, and there's reading of poetry and sing of songs, and eating of the haggis, and lots of traditional Scottish foods. And if you're in the right place at the right time, and hopefully you were or are or will be, there's Scotch a-flowing, because Scotch naturally is the national drink of Scotland. That's weird, and that's like coincidental. Who'd have thought? But so if you're at a Burns supper that isn't in, well, so the Scotch was flowing at our Burns supper, although it was a dry Burns supper. Because when you're with Tiki King, baby, The Scotch flows. The Scotch must flow. Was that in Dune? Wasn't the Scotch one? The space must flow. So, yeah, you eat haggis, you eat meats, you eat leeks and neeps and tatties, and Scotch broth and all sorts of. You know, people they joke about it, but there's some pretty good food. Scottish food it can be really delicious. And haggis, Boozeketeer Aaron always says, you know, when haggis is good, it's not bad. But actually, the haggis we had at the Burn Supper last weekend, 3 days ago. Wow, I had more Scotch than I thought. I actually had. I was drinking a fine Coal Isla, which is the Coal Isla and the remind me. Just say remember, and I'll try it. I've forgotten by then. But the Coal Isla is a fantastic single malt Scotch that has everything you want, and nothing you don't. If you like that sort of thing, and I do. So, but I digress. Like, yeah, get with it. Get on with it. You know, let's continue on into our second drink of the evening because my glass is empty already. So, our second drink of the evening, following in the Scottish theme, since it was Burns night last weekend, and here's the thing. Burns suppers, can be any time around now. So there's going to be another one next weekend that we're going to go to, and hopefully haggis and Scotch it up. And but if you didn't go to a Burn supper last weekend, but you're going to one this weekend, and hopefully you're somewhere where they have a bar, you can order some of these drinks. And the recipes, if they don't know them, are on the Tiki King cocktail database. So the first one was the Affinity. Interesting. It's interesting. Not my favorite. Definitely not my least favorite. But so let's move on to the next one, which has Provenance, at least in its name, and has I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a little story about our next drink. Our next drink is the Rob Roy. Yes, the Rob Roy. It was said to have been created in the late 19th century at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. And it is basically the same drink we just had, only we're going to eliminate the dry vermouth, and we're going to increase the Scotch. So I'm happy about this already. Let's see what happens. Okay, so measuring device. So our next one, the Rob Roy, calls for 1 ounce of Scotch.
Wait, which Scotch are you using?
Oh, I'm using the Shackleton.
Oh, you said that
Which
already.
I already said. Did somebody ask?
Me.
Don't have to pay attention.
I wasn't paying attention.
Oh. We're using the fine Shackleton blended Scotch whiskey based on an antique blend of Macaulay's rare old Highland malt whiskey, the spirit supplied to the 1907 British Antarctic expedition. You know, it's funny because we had so I bought this bottle, and then conversation ensued, as it sometimes does, between me and producer Maggie about about freezing point of alcohol, and about long-term effect of sub-zero temperatures on alcohol. Because like this right here, so this is 40% alcohol by volume, which means there's 60% other stuff, probably most of which is water. So although alcohol doesn't freeze, over extended periods of time, the water and the alcohol are going to separate slightly because the alcohol is not going to freeze, but the water will. And it'll form crystals, which will also then break down some of the cellular bits in there. They're going to change it's going to cause all kinds of ruckus. So I wonder, how did they do that? Did they have like a whole team? Did they just try and recreate the taste? Or did they actually I wonder if they actually went into and got all sciencey on it. It makes me happy to think that they got all sciencey on it, and did subjected it to freezing and all that sort of thing, but probably didn't. That's all right. Okay, we got 1 ounce Scotch whiskey and ½ ounce sweet vermouth. Like I said, the Rob Roy is the Affinity, which I just made, minus the dry vermouth, which was the one thing that was not the thing that I liked about it. So this could be going more in the right direction. This time we're going to put the bitters in the shaker because That's what you're supposed to do, according to some who say to do that. Here we go, same amber hue. See, I should, well, that's all right. It's okay. The last one is going to be a bit more powerful, and you know, we're already into it, so why not? Once again, I'm going to use a fresh sword pick. That was my nickname in high school. Fresh sword pick. No, because I don't want to, you know, stick drinks in my Luxardo jar. Might need that later. So, here we go, the Rob Roy, which I don't know if I've had one before. I know I've had a Rusty Nail, which is nothing like this. And I know I've had a Roy Rogers, which is also absolutely nothing like this. And I'll get to that in a minute. Brilliant. I'm going to say this, I don't know if they had anything to do with each other, but this is just you know, it corrects the mistakes that I think Affinity made. Now, some people are going to say that they're really into the medicinal little extra bite of the dry vermouth. No, why not? Could be your thing. I ain't here to tell you about your thing, what your thing is. You decide what your thing is, and then do that thing. Because that's what the Tiki King program's all about. Do your thing, baby, but do your thing like what I tell you. You'll be happier. So, the Rob Roy. Basically, the Rob Roy is a Manhattan using Scotch. So there you go. Typical Manhattan, you're going to use bourbon or rye. But yeah, so this is a Manhattan using Scotch instead. Of course, now I'll tell you, there's a lot of bourbons that have a whole lot more character than they used to. Used to be in the back in the old days, you know. You go down to the liquor store, you know, Drinking Man Supermarket. When the spending spree would kick in, you go get yourself a bottle of Old Overholt, which we used to call Old Overcoat because that's kind of what it tastes like. Someone like poured rubbing alcohol through an old overcoat. But it doesn't mean I didn't drink a lot of it. But just saying, it was, you know. But that was about one of the only ryes you could find. Rye was not a popular drink in my youth. Not now. Now you can get all kinds of, you can get Bullet and Buffalo Trace and all kinds of really great, mostly rye bourbons. Yeah, so finding rye in the olden days was not as easy as it is now. So, I digress, but rye, bourbon, Scotch, a little smoke, a little iodine. The Scotch, in this case, nowadays bourbon is getting a whole lot more character. So, like I said, although this is basically the Manhattan without using Scotch instead of bourbon, yeah, you know what? Might be very similar if you went with one of the boutique bourbons that they're making these days. Especially with rye, because rye is a pretty character-y drink. In a lot of, if you get good rye, you can really taste that it is not just bourbon. So, so if you're wondering, if you're like, what the heck, man? So, whiskey. Should I get into the history? There's a lot of history. So, whiskey, right, is basically a grain sour mash distillate. But Scotch whiskey is made in Scotland, and it's whiskey, W-H-I-S-K-Y. There's American whiskey, which is actually bourbon, and it's usually spelled with an E-Y. There's some Canadians who have different spellings, but basically, if it's from Scotland, it's Scotch. If it's not, it's whiskey, and if it's American, it's bourbon. It's sort of how it all breaks down. there is now see now it's getting all kind of crazy because I believe Suntory is allowed to be whiskey with the Y without the E. And I just read about another one too that they granted that they said you could do that they could have it could be whiskey with a Y, no E, even though it's not from Scotland.
The
And there
Japanese.
was one that actually is called Scotch, and we were all upset about
Japanese. It's a Japanese one.
it. It's a Japanese, and they're allowed to call it Scotch, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So now that right there kind of that kind of gets in. It causes a problem. It causes a problem because words. No, it does because words mean things, and you can't say here this is a fine Scotch, because Scotch is Scotch, which means Scotland because it's Scotch. And Irish whiskey is Irish whiskey, and bourbon. It's like all of a sudden everything's nothing and anything's whatever you want, and that just then it becomes confusing because if you say here, do you want some Scotch? It's this Italian Scotch, made in Guatemala. It's like none of that. And pretty soon nothing means anything. But I guess I should try it though at some point. Try it and see what the hubbub is about. But anyway, so there it is, the Rob Roy, a Manhattan with Scotch. I digressed. I have to go back. I have to time travel, but not very far. Just like a couple minutes. So I have a funny story about the Rob Roy, which I'll get to in just a second here. Did I go with the right spot? Okay. So I had a friend who decided to give up drinking, and went to a bar anyway. And
As you do when you give up drinking.
But was trying to figure out what we could have to drink in a bar that wasn't alcoholic, and said, "Oh, I know, Rob Roy." And I thought, okay, that's the kind of giving up drinking that I would do. I'm not going to drink anymore. I'm a Rob Roy. But he confused it with a Roy. He was thinking Roy Rogers, which a Roy Rogers is a Shirley Temple, but for boys. I don't know why. It's one of those things. No, Roy Rogers is Coke and grenadine with a maraschino cherry. Rob Roy, which you've just seen, is not that. But he thought he was ordering a Roy Rogers and ordered a Rob Roy, and was quite surprised. Although I don't know if he was completely unenthused about the results. But gotta make sure you keep your terminology straight. Rob Roy, Roy Rogers, different things. And Rob Roy, for those of you who may not know, named after Robert Roy McGregor, who, if you watch the movie Rob Roy, you'll hear that a whole lot. Robert Roy McGregor, that's right. And in fact, that's a good drinking game you can have, where you go into a bar, order a Rob Roy, and have a drink every time you order one. It's one of those ones that you get in trouble quick. But I'll have a Rob Roy. Oh, I'll have a Rob Roy, and a Rob Roy, and a Rob Roy. Yeah, it's one of those. It's a quantum drinking. Well, there we go. That's the Rob Roy. Now, not everybody's cup of tea. And here's the thing: is that some people I know Tiki King, I like Scotch, but what if I want something that's a little more, easy to consume? Well, if you're not into, like some people, there's the old fashioned, right? And there's the Manhattan, both of which are similar bourbon drinks, but the old fashioned is a bit sweeter and a bit more friendly to the non-hardcore drinker. And our next recipe, which we've had these on the show, and we talked about them. It was like, I don't know, a month and a half ago. We were at the Tin Tiki, and told the whole story about when we were in at the bar at the old spaghetti factory, and there was a feller in there who wanted a blood and sand, and the bartender didn't know what it was, and he said, "I don't know, I had it in Vegas. It's the best drink ever." And did he get one? Did they make him one? I don't remember. But so we ordered a blood and sand at the Tin Tiki, and it was good. And I thought, okay, well, there's another one I can make that because it's a Scotch drink. So This one was originally created in London, and it was to commemorate a movie that was back in the 20s, a bullfighting movie called Blood and Sand. And so the drink was, because I guess the movie was popular, so they made the drink, and then people were like, I love that movie, give me the drink. Which, why not? What the heck? So this one, another Scotch drink, this calls for 1 ounce of Scotch. I don't know, but it would. 1 ounce. 1 ounce. I could be a movie trailer. A man with 1 ounce of Scotch. That's not true. Once again, sweet vermouth. 3/4 of an ounce. All right, well, so my Anchor Hawking measuring device here goes from 1/2 to 1 ounce, so I'm gonna have to go right in the betweens there, which is probably gonna be, what does that look like? It's gonna be like 20 milliliters. Let's see what it is. See if it works out. Look at that, 20 milliliters. 3/4. I got 3/4, 6/4. Buy you a drink in New Orleans. So let's see. So we've got the sweet vermouth, we've got the Scotch, orange juice. Look at that. We just happen to have some right here at the bar. 1 ounce. Should get Arnold Schwarzenegger to come down here and make drinks. 1 ounce. Make the drinks. 1 ounce, 2 ounces Scotch. Make drinks. And then 1 ounce of cherry brandy. Kirschwasser. Actually, I don't have that. Whatever happened to the Kirschwasser? Wasn't it down here? I haven't seen it in a while. Because the Kirschwasser is like 90 proof. But I have this Felitas Black Forest Kirschwasser cherry brandy weighing in at 80 proof, which is not bad, I gotta say. So we're gonna put in 1 ounce of that. Oh, there we go. So, like I said, we're upping our game here. Alrighty, so we got shit. You stay.
Chad Crenshaw.
Huh? Chad. Hello,
Said
Chad.
aloha.
Aloha, Chad. Chad is a Boozeketeer Chad. One of the few people who I've said this before has a tiki named after him. Because he's a brute. The guy's a brute. He kept breaking them over and over and over, so I finally made one he couldn't break. Because Tiki King tikis. If you go to my website and you order a necklace or something, it's guaranteed for life. If you break it, you send me whatever's left, I'll replace it for free. Now the problem with Chad is he kept breaking his over and over. So I finally made one that was just around the size of an enormous metal bolt. So it was like basically a metal bolt with a little bit of resin around that looked tiki-like. And I think I don't think he's broken that one yet. All right, the blood and sand. And you know what? If you go to the Tiki Tea, down there in the Hollywood, you order the blood and sand. They'll make it with Scotch or with tequila. And if they're making it with tequila, they have a bowl that goes across the what?
Lean forward.
Lean forward.
Not that far.
Are you sure people want to see me? They have a bowl that goes across the bar, and everybody chants, Toro, 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 Toro. But that's if you get the blood and sand using tequila, which, I don't know, might be good. I don't know that I've had it. See, when I go there, I pretty much always get the raised mistake, just because it's good. It does the job. Get you there, if you know what I mean. So there we go, blood and sand. All right, we're gonna go back slightly here. So we had the Affinity, 1/2 ounce Scotch, 1/2 ounce French vermouth, dry, 1/2 ounce Italian sweet vermouth, Angostura bitters. We had the Rob Roy, which which was Scotch, sweet vermouth, and bitters. And then we had the blood. I'm having. That's right. Oh, I got. Although I time traveled inadvertently ahead of myself. Whoa. I don't know. Do I have to go back? No. Okay.
Just wait for it to catch up.
I might have to. I'll wait for it to catch up. It's catching up. I'll tell you, it is catching up. I'm pleased. And we have the blood and sand. I am currently enjoying, in this particular moment in time, the blood and sand, which is 1 ounce of Scotch, 1/4 ounce sweet vermouth, 1 ounce of orange juice, and 1 ounce of cherry brandy. This is I say the strongest.
I'm gonna have
Yeah.
a sip of that one.
Want to try it?
Yeah. I mean,
No, it doesn't have a garnish, but
mine's. It's okay. I don't need a garnish.
yeah, but you know.
Take a sip of this. It's pretty good.
And it doesn't have the garnish, but
I guess I'll
you know,
just take this with
you
me.
come by the bar, you get yourself a Luxardo. You know, because why not? The blood and sand. Yeah, so we last time I had one of these was at the Tin Tiki, like I said, and the Tin Tiki here in Salt Lake City, Utah, upstairs, the Tinwell Bar. Fun joint. They're trying real hard. They're getting their stuff together. They've got some fantastic drinks there, and they will also. I don't think they actually had blood and sand on the menu, but I think I ordered it and they made it anyway. It was good. You go up there and see Scuba Chock, and he will set you up with whatever you need to drink. And they're open Friday, Saturday, and Tuesday. But I have a feeling if a whole bunch of us Utahns just start showing up there a lot, they might expand their hours, which we're hoping to have happen. Because Tiki Bar. What come on, Tiki Bar. We gotta get Lucky down there.
Mm-hmm.
Boozeketeer Lucky.
We'll get them down there.
Lucky and Christy down there and make them drink a lot. Make them. Sorry. Just allow them. Set them free. They're like the blue belly lizards of drinking. You just like set them out on a rock in the sun, and those go to it. Crazy. No, I don't know. I'm not sure which of these is my favorite tonight.
My favorite was the Luxardo.
Yeah, you've hit the Luxardo cherry. I know it's hard to go wrong with the Luxardo. They are pricey, but as far as delicious, they're good. They're better than they're I would say they're better in drinks than haggis. You could garnish any of these with a lump of haggis, and I would say you would not be happy about that. No. Hey, are any of the Boozeketeers out there? I know we have a few Utah Boozeketeers. They should go to the Burn Supper this weekend at BYU. Look it up. Is there a place they can look it up?
Utah Scottish Association website.
Go to the-
UtahScots.org.
UtahScots.org. Go there and get yourself some tickets and come on down because I'm going to be there. I'm going to be kilting it up and scotching it up, haggising it up. I might read poetry if someone doesn't stop me. You never know. Those things happen. Oh, Jesus. See there?
What happened?
He didn't like the idea of me reading poetry. He hung his head in shame. So hey, I haven't hawked my websites in a while. So if you enjoy the Tiki King, the Cocktales, if you enjoy Cocktales and Tiki King and the program and the Cocktales and Tiki King program, those are 3 things that you can get all at once right here, right now. But that's not really how it all works because booze is expensive. You gotta buy it, and the best way for me to buy it is for you to give me money so I can buy it. So if you go to my website and go to or go to another website, go to someone else's, but that won't help me. Go to tikiking.net, and there's a whole shopping site up there where you can buy all kinds of fun Tiki King stuff. And remember that every dollar you spend goes to a worthy cause, and I donate at least 100% of that to buying booze. So just so you know, it does go to a worthy cause. keeping the booze flowing and the shows a going, and the Cocktales of Tiki King program every Tuesday night, from floundering like a fish who's out of his bowl, like a carp who can survive for up to 3 minutes without water, just flapping about on the ground, just flapping, and like that, like me without drink. Yeah. But no, go to the website, go to tikiking.com, and there's actually a link from there to the other places. And get yourself some fine Tiki King swag. Get yourself a necklace or a bracelet or some kind of other fun thing. Get some art. Buy some art. Yeah, exciting. You know, I've been working on, so Tiki Oasis is coming up in like a year. No, Tiki Oasis is coming up way down the road, but it's big exciting news because it's the 20th anniversary. So they're doing an enormous art show thing, and so I've been working on my art piece, and it's almost done. It has to be done by the 1st because there's all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a huge thing, and I wish I could show it to you guys, but I can't. That's part of the whole thing. We can't spoil the surprise. But yeah, but there is. But here's the other thing. I also have been working on other art stuff in between. You know, like I paint. Well, if the paint's dry, and I work on other art. So if you go to tikiking.net, there's a bunch of art up there, and there's more art to come, and you can buy it and stick it on your wall. Yeah, like that. Or if you go to tikiking.com and check out the art showcase, there's some different art there that you can buy as well. There's art I arted all over the place. I did. I'm not ashamed. But yeah, go there, and if nothing else, if anybody say, you know what, Tiki King, I'm pretty excited about this whole thing and I have a ton of your stuff already. I wish there was some way I could just give you money. Well, you can, because if you look on there, there's the virtual tip jar, and you can throw 6 quarters into there and pretend you're in New Orleans. That's right. But in any case, now if you go to a burn supper this weekend, as we will be doing, and it isn't here in Utah because they won't have a bar. But if you are one that does have a bar, or if you missed, wait. I'm gonna have to rewind and do that one again. So if you are going to a burn supper, it's not here in Utah because they don't have bars here in Utah at the burn supper. But if you are going to one and it happens to be in your town, or if there isn't one in your town and you just happen to be going to a bar so you can raise a glass to Robert Burns, the poet of Scotland, these are 3 drinks you can order. If you don't want to just go Scotch Rocks, which is also fine, or just Scotch Neat, which is also acceptable. But if you want to go cocktail-wise, remember, the Affinity, the Rob Roy, and the Blood and Sand are all your friends. Or you can get yourself a Rusty Nail, which is also a pretty tasty drink, which I didn't make tonight, but I've had many of them in the past. If you got a sweet tooth, go with the Rusty Nail, because it's got Drambuie, which is, sweet. Why not? So there you go, Boozeketeers. I think that's all the wisdom I can impart. Unless I made another drink, which doesn't seem likely at this point. But there you go. 3 drinks to enjoy your Burning Man supper or something. I don't know. I hope you all learned something and had a good time. And I hope to see you all out in the wild somewhere. And I hope to see you. The season's about to start up again, Boozeketeer season. And I hope to see you out there at 1 or 2 of the games. Go to boozeketeers.com and check out our schedule. You can find me out in the wild that way easier. Hunt me down. Try to bring a bottle of booze. You can lure me out into a dark area of the games and make me drink Scotch out of the bottle, which I've done before. But like that, I think that's all I have. I've run out of things. Until next time. This time I have. All right, Boozeketeers. I have my glass. There should be something. I should always look at that. Nothing. There's like dregs. That's okay. Because you know what, Boozeketeers, remember? I love you guys. I'm serious.